against South Carolina, hit .227 in that series. Riley Smith, Aaron Koffel at the top of the lineup, but a change. Vanessa Nesby moves from the 8 spot up to the 3 spot in the lineup.
Kentucky's just trying to do a little something different here, adding in that triple threat lefty right up there in the 3 spot. Almost acts like another leadoff batter, but they're trying to put the ball in play, try to put pressure on this Tennessee defense and force something to happen.
Absolute gorgeous night here in Knoxville. 84 degrees at first pitch from Pickens at 74 miles an hour. It was just a gorgeous day, and it has just continued here this evening. A little taste of summer here in Knoxville. There's a strike. It's 1-1 to Riley Smith, leading the team at 375 on the season. Fifth-year senior playing left field, had 4 hits in the South Carolina series, was 4 for 10 at the plate. He's had a really good year for Kentucky. Can't get that pitch, and it's 1-2. Well, you talked about it with Pickens. The thing that jumps out, 75, maybe 76 miles per hour in velocity. That's something that teams just don't see until they face Tennessee. Smith with the slow roller to first. Katsoyanopoulos with a tag, 1 down.
Not only do you not see that in a game, but it's really hard to replicate in practices too. All of the teams, the opponents that we've seen face Tennessee so far this season, the number one question that we have for them is how do you try to replicate that type of velocity in practice? And they say, well, we try to crank up the machines as high as it'll go, even put it halfway in between the pitcher's mound and home plate just to try to get that speed up there to what Pickens is going to throw consistently throughout the game.
As we've talked about it, we've documented it, you have 33 hundredths of a second reaction time on a 75 mile per hour pitch from Pickens, who's 6'1", and where she releases it.
Not a lot of time to make that decision, and that's why you see a lot of swings and misses at pitches outside of the strike zone. Batters are having to decide so soon with that ball coming out of her hand that she's going to get people guessing in the wrong spot.
Right now facing one of the very best hitters in Kentucky history, Aaron Koffel, 347 on the season. Koffel with a fly ball to center field. That's Kiki Malloy territory. She's got it for out number. Set up for Tennessee, a very familiar lineup, as you'll see in the bottom half of the inning. If it isn't broke, don't need to fix it, is probably the best way to say how Karen Weekly approaches things.
Well, and you're seeing the infield, too, go right into that defensive slap shift. Coach Karen Weekly and Megan Rhodes-Smith talking to their defense, wanting to make sure that they're playing these triple threat lefty batters as close to home plate as possible.
1-1 to Nesby. As we talked about, Nesby was 3 for 5 in the South Carolina series. Had a key double in their win in Game 2 of the series. They played from behind all series long. Lost Game 1 5-2. Lost Game 3 3-0. Won Game 2 in the middle 3-1.
Hit that double off of Elena Vodder for South Carolina. Hard throwing drop ball down in the zone. Nesby does a nice job of driving the ball back up the middle. Not too often you see a lefty slapper right there in that 3 spot, but they're trying to change things up a little bit as Tennessee's coming out, having a conversation out there in the pitcher's circle.
Pickens 8 1/3 against Alabama, 3 hits, didn't give up a run, struck out 8, made 1 start, 2 appearances. She came on in Game 3 and gave up the key hit that scored the Alabama run, but that run was charged to Peyton Gottschall. It was an inherited runner that came in to score.
It was after a Cahalan triple down the right field line, then an infield single by Kristen White.
That's off the plate, it's 2-2.
Very close pitch on the outside part of the plate, but you could see Sophia Nugent telling her dugout that it was a little bit too far off. She knew it was a ball. Close pitch to take, though, with 2 strikes.
Pickens gets the strikeout to retire the side.
Screwball and the rise ball working into the righties.
Kiki Malloy in the leadoff spot. Takes ball 1. Malloy followed by Zeta Pooney, McKenna Gibson, Riley West, then Nugent, Panel, Rodriguez, Katsoyanopoulos, and Mealer. Malloy had the only 2 hits against Kayla Beaver in Game 3 on Sunday at Alabama.
Kiki had some really good at-bats against Beaver in that ball game. Beaver was throwing extremely well, but her 2 hits both came on pitches that were outside. clearly had a game plan to go after the curveball, and even some of them were about a ball off the plate, and she was still able to drill them out to right field.
That misses for a ball. It's 3-0. I think Alabama really has impressive pitching in Jocelyn Brisky and Caleb Beaver. We talked to Karen Weekly pregame today. It sounds like she still hasn't gotten over, though, how her team approached things at the plate. If there's things where Tennessee's looking to improve, it's at the plate, because when it comes to hitting, they're at 292 on the season as Malloy works a walk. That's 6th in the conference and 255 in conference play.
And really what it comes down to is having those consistent quality at-bats, and right there, Kiki Malloy to start off this ball game already with a really good one. Schoonover has a tendency to throw pitches outside of the strike zone, so you want to force her to bring it into the zone, bring something that you can drive with authority, but that's not what Coach Karen Weekly saw from her offense last weekend down in Tuscaloosa.
Another ball from Schoonover, who just issued her 93rd walk of the season, so that's an issue for the Kentucky ace as Pooney steps in, leading the team with 12 home runs on the season. For Tennessee, the lineup as a whole, it's on 3 cylinders instead of 4. It's not quite there for them right now, but Zeta Pooney has been on, and she's raised her average, thanks to going 333 in the SEC. That's foul ball out of play. Malloy was on the move.
Even swings like that, those weren't swings that we saw from Tennessee against Caleb Beaver. There were a lot of swings on outside pitches to the righties that they were rolling over or trying to pull to the left side, or maybe even not getting their swings off on pitches that looked good in the zone. But Coach Karen Weekly wanted to see more of that aggressiveness again from her offense. And speaking of aggressiveness, it looks like Kiki Malloy was just called out at first base for leaving early. And it looks like we might have our first video challenge of the ball game. Now, Coach Karen Weekly coming out and immediately signaling for that.
Now, you watch more softball than anyone I know. And this is a little bit of a, a cat chasing the dog here.
Tennessee has challenged the ruling on the field, where there's a runner left early. Previous play is under review.
See, I think that call should be changed right there. Foot still on, ball's gone, and then her foot comes off. I think that's something that should be called.
Now, I'm going to say 2 things here. Just one, we generally have seen this called to say, well, the runner left early. Now we're trying to see if we can flip it the other way. Now Tennessee's making that challenge. I will push back on you a little bit here because the call on the field was that she left early. It looks almost simultaneous to me. And is that enough to flip it in Tennessee's favor?
If you're asking me, I think.
After further review, the ruling on the field is upheld. It's Tennessee's first challenge.
Go ahead, Maddie, say it. No. Maddie, first of all, say
Eric is right. Yes,
yeah,
okay. Eric was right.
Was it that hard?
That's what he wants me to say. So here, when I'm looking at it, I feel like her foot is leaving right when that ball is getting released from Stephanie Schoonover's hand. I'm going to throw another wrench into this rule, too. With a right-handed pitcher as a runner over at first base, are you ever really truly seeing or able to see that ball being released from the pitcher's hand? Because of the way that she's able to turn her body. So it's almost a little bit of guesswork, right, anyway, when you're over at first base of when she's going to release it, and then now we're putting it frame by frame in slow motion.
Check swing. I'll throw.
I like this.
I'll throw this towards you.
Yeah.
If Kentucky had challenged saying she left early, she would still be at first base because there wasn't enough. If the call on the field, you know what I'm saying? Like that. That's to your point, like just watching in real time.
Absolutely.
It's like it looked like it was in sync, but it wasn't going to be enough because it was by a frame, maybe 2 frames off, and that's how we're splitting hairs.
Yeah, and that's why ultimately it really does come down to the importance of what it is called on the field, because when you go to the video review, you're looking for indisputable evidence to change whatever the call was that was made on the field.
It's in the dirt, 3-2 now to Zeta Pooney.
You know me, I just like to put myself on the field and think about how these rule changes and the video reviews would impact the way that the game is played. And I think about a runner over at first base. You can't really see when the right-handed pitcher is actually releasing the ball.
That misses. Back-to-back walks by Schoonover. And I would think someone like an All-American for Kiki Malloy knows down to that split second when she can leave. She has timed it out. She has seen it thousands and thousands of times.
You just said it's all about the timing and the rhythm and getting into almost in sync with the pitcher and their motion of when you're going to take off from first to second base.
Ball one to Boo Gibson. My biggest takeaway from that entire sequence is it pained you, but you did say I was right eventually. In on the hands of Gibson, popped up on the right side. Marker Tobias has it, 2 down. Let's set the Kentucky defense with Tobias and Koffel up the middle. Borzarelli. Here's Riley West. She had quite the roller coaster ride in Tuscaloosa. There's strike one. Let's just say she's happy Kayla Beaver isn't in the circle for Kentucky here today.
Had a big home run against, it was Jayla Torrance who came into the game.
That's
and
right.
She blasted a rise ball out to center field. She's had a great year so far for Tennessee.
Struck out 3 times Sunday against Beaver, twice in game 1 against Beaver. Ended up 2 for 8 in the series with a home run.
A couple of those strikeouts looking on pitches inside after she set her up with curveballs away.
One thing with Schoonover too. We talked a little bit with Rachel Lawson about it this week in preparation for this game. Schoonover among the league leaders for batters caught looking for strikeouts. That misses. It's 2-2.
I think a big reason for that, one is the setup pitches, but also there's some unpredictability with the way that she throws pitches outside of the zone too. She's trying to live right there on the edges, and because of that, she has a tendency to give up quite a few walks as we've already seen in this inning. But as a hitter, when you know that the pitcher is going to kind of be all over the place, you can have a tendency, her ability to manipulate, I think, that curveball in a variety of different locations.
Swung on and missed, foul tipped into the glove of Hamilton, and that will retire the side. The door for the Aggies or the Gators. And then there's Arkansas kind of lurking in the shadows, hoping everybody stubs their toe and they can swoop right in, but that's going to take a little bit of help from what happens in Gainesville and certainly a lot of what happens here. But that's what's great about the season. Here we are in the end of the regular season. Grace Lorson leading off for Kentucky. If Tennessee had swept Alabama, this game could have decided at least to share the regular season title. But Tennessee cannot clinch here tonight. Maybe by the end of the day, Friday, they'll have clinched. Lorson with the fly ball to right, panels there, 1 away. And that's great. You want to just have fighting for position, fighting for a regular season championship, because that should mean something in the best conference in the country.
Isn't that what makes this conference so much fun, that here we are in the last weekend of the regular season and we're still sitting here thinking there's 4 different options that could possibly take first place in the regular season this year. And that's why I leave the math up to you. I know you've been diving into the math of how many wins it would take for each team, but just the fact that there are so many different teams that are still in the running right up there at the top is what makes this last weekend so exciting.
Strike one to Taylor Ebbs. Now, I handle the math, but as we've joked about in the past, it's not always, let's just say I wasn't a math major in college. I took just enough to get through high school as Ebbs down the count, 0-2. You can see she's wearing that big wrap on her right shoulder. She'll remove it if she's in the field in the DP spot here today. Called strike 3, second strikeout for Pickens, 2 down. Rachel Lawson has come well out of the dugout. She's on the infield dirt to protest this call.
I think I'm wondering the same thing Coach Lawson is. Was this called on the swing or on the strike? It looks like it's called on the pitch, and that looked like a drop ball low in the zone.
Well, if it was called on the swing, there's no way. She still wants the answer. Was it on the swing?
Let's take another look at it here. Let's see the swing from Ebbs, or if there was a swing. Yeah, it doesn't even look close to me. It doesn't look like a swing.
But if that's also a called strike, then we're going to have a one-hitter from both sides here today.
It's going to be a tough day for the offense if those pitches are getting called. We'll just call it like that.
She's fine with it now as long as Schoonover gets that
Absolutely.
call. Krista Hamilton, 2-0 count. Grounded to Gibson at third on the first to retire the side. Another 1-2-3 inning for.
See, there's an even more added element of unpredictability every single weekend when you go into these series. You just aren't sure what you're going to get really outside of Tennessee, and depends on the weekend. Are you going to see some pitching? Are you going to see some offense? Sometimes it's a little bit of both. But there are some teams that came into this season, too, with high expectations, maybe not performing as well as they would like to in the middle of SEC play. Georgia's one of the teams that comes to mind with all those seniors, the veteran presence on that team.
Sophia Nugent leading off. Well, you think about Kentucky. They've won 3 SEC series. 2 of those series wins were against Alabama and Georgia.
And they started off SEC play losing 6 straight, losing their first 2 series.
1 and 2. Yeah, the margins are really thin. It's really so close. Look even at Tennessee. They gave up 1 run in the LSU series and 1 run in the Alabama series, and they did not sweep either of those series. That's 1 run allowed in 3 games in each of the last 2 series.
That stat is absolutely mind-blowing to me, that they only gave up 1 run in each of those series, and the 1 run that they did give up happened to be game-winning.
Soft liner over the leaping Koffel, and it's a base hit. The first hit of the game for Tennessee is by Sophia Nugent, leading off the second inning.
Sophia Nugent getting a good swing on this one, up and inside. Actually gets a bit jammed on this, but she's so strong, using her lower half to drive that one out into left field for a leadoff base hit to start off this bottom of the second inning. Nice swing there from the middle of this Tennessee order.
Taylor Panel fouls it off. I mean, if you told Karen Weekly you're only going to give up 1 run to LSU and 1 run to Alabama, but it's going to cost you a win in each of those series, she'd probably think you're crazy. But it just goes to show you that, again, the margins are really thin. And even for a team like Tennessee, on the short list of teams that you would think would be able to give Texas and Oklahoma a run for their money in Oklahoma City, if they get there, there's just not any wiggle room.
And I think it really speaks to what dominant pitching can do in each individual game. You just look at Tennessee over the course of their entire season and how dominant Gottschall and Pickens have been in the circle, but then you look at those games individually. Sydney Berzon throwing a great game for LSU in that game that they ended up taking the win here in Knoxville. And then Caleb Beaver throwing a gem for Alabama in that game 3.
Sure did.
And you know, it's hard for me to admit this, but good pitching is going to beat good hitting majority of the time.
You graduated in 2014, right?
It's been a while.
It's taken
yes.
10 years for you to come to that conclusion, but it's fine. There's Schoonover, swing and a miss by Panel. Second strikeout for Stephanie, 1 away.
Schoonover still throwing well here, goes with the curveball. There's some really great late life on this pitch. This is one of those pitches where it's a curveball coming out of her hand, but then she manipulates it to move up in the zone a bit, almost working up like a rise ball and away from the right-handed batters.
Fouled off by Destiny Rodriguez for strike 1. Sophomore plays second base. Good in that game 2 win against Alabama. It was 3 for 3 at the plate. 3 for 8 overall in the series. Leadoff single for Nugent. She's at first, and that comes in and hits Rodriguez. So first and second with 1 down.
This is the bit of unpredictability that you're going to get from Stephanie Schoonover, trying to work the inside part of the plate here with this rise ball. Just gets her right on the elbow guard. Looked like she was okay as she was jogging down to first base.
Maddie, it's interesting. We were watching Stephanie Schoonover warm up when she first went on the field, and one of her warm-up pitches flew completely out of her hand and ended up at the shortstop position. And even after that pitch, you could see she was trying to dry her hand a little bit, was trying to get a little bit more dirt, now using that towel. It is a very warm night, 84 degrees at first pitch, so maybe a little trouble with the grip, and that's causing her a little command issue.
Might be one of the warmest days that Knoxville has had so far this year, I'd say. You're going to see these pitchers and really the players in general adjust to the change in the weather as this season goes on.
3-0. Called strike to Katsoyanopoulos. I had assistants for math, just wanted to know about the ball strike breakdown. 19 balls, 16 strikes so far for Schoonover, and it's ball 4 and the bases are loaded. 3 walks and a hit batter so far here for Stephanie Schoonover, and her average has taken a hit as of late. 0 for her last 12 in SEC play. Big opportunity here. That misses for a ball. It's 1-0. Now Schoonover and Hamilton asking the plate umpire, Steve Gould, where that pitch was. That's a called strike. It's 1-1. You know generally what happens if you've had 3 walks and a hit batter in the first 2 innings. Anything borderline usually doesn't go your way when it comes to calls. Oh, swing and a miss there. Schoonover gets ahead in the count 1-2.
Went back to that curveball again, and to your point, Eric, when you're consistently staying outside of the strike zone, it makes it harder to get some of those edge calls because you're just so frequently well outside of the zone.
2-2.
Even right there, a 1-2 pitch. You don't want to throw it in the zone, but that one's missing by so much that you could even tell by the tape that Laura Mueller took right there that she wasn't even thinking about swinging at that pitch out of the hand. So even little pitches like that can all of a sudden give the momentum back to the hitter.
Schoonover, big strikeout there. Her third, 2 down.
Went back to the same pitch that Laura Mueller swung and missed on earlier in this at-bat. Actually brings it up a little bit higher. Another one of those curveballs that's moving up and away from the righty bat. That's another big strikeout in this inning, and that's what you're going to have to do when you let people get on board via the walk, is get some of those big strikeouts.
Top of the order, here's Malloy, who walked and was called out for leaving first base early in the first. Oh, 2. Kiki with 66 career home runs, 10 this season. The 0-2. Slap to right field and foul, and diving and almost making the catch was Blanton. Good effort by Jenna Blanton.
I thought there was no way when she hit this ball that Jenna Blanton was going to be able to come up with it, but she makes a great dive here down that right field line. Oh, just barely bounces in front of her glove.
Another 0-2 to Malloy.
This at-bat right here, because Schoonover got ahead to Malloy, you've already seen 2 swings from Kiki where she's swinging outside of the zone. That's what getting ahead in the count is going to do for you, especially with Schoonover and the velocity that she brings, the movement that she's got on the rise and the curve. You've got to try to get ahead.
Malloy, line drive to center field. Nesby took 1 step in but recovered it. For Tennessee, Boot Gibson had 2 3-run home runs in that game. Kiki Malloy had 2 solo home runs. Margaret Tobias to lead things off for Kentucky here in the third.
I do find it interesting when you look at these teams and how often that they've played each other within the SEC, and talking to coaches just about how there might be certain spots that maybe you just find that even over the span of a decade, your team just happens to not play well in certain areas, certain stadiums.
Did you have a matchup? It could have been in the SEC, it could have been a non-conference that you're like, man, that team had my number or had our number? Is there one? I'm not trying to like pick a scab here and
No.
Open a wound.
You
but
know
I got
I'll
you
remember
thinking.
them very quickly.
I know. You remember the things that didn't go well, even though you had plenty of things that did go well.
Actually, I feel that playing in Lexington was actually some of our toughest games too, because it always felt like it was cold and windy and raining, and it felt like Kentucky had the advantage because they were just more used to that type of weather, even though it's really not that far away from Knoxville. I find that the weather can sometimes be drastically different in Kentucky than it is in Tennessee. Columbia, Missouri is also the place that comes to mind too. Again, weather. Apparently with cold weather, that's
For the
where I'm
record,
going.
you're a California
I
kid.
am, yes. Columbia, Missouri was cold and rainy when we played up there
Been
for one
established
series
that
too.
people from the north they're just tougher than the California kids.
I'm sure everybody can gather exactly where Eric Freed is from.
Good battle for Tobias here against Pickens, trying just to scratch something out here from the bottom half of the lineup. 7, 8, 9 for the Wildcats. Tried to check it, could not. The throw by Nugent to finish it off, one down.
We talk about how difficult it is for hitters to make those swing adjustments against the velocity that Pickens brings, but think about it from a slapper perspective too. You're already moving towards that pitch, so by the time that Pickens releases the ball, it almost feels like you're basically able to high-five each other by the time the slappers are running out of the box and she's releasing it out of the circle.
I know you've talked about it. You talked about at the top of this telecast about the Pickens-Gottschall combination because they're both fantastic. 1.05 earned run average for Pickens, 1.03 earned run average for Gottschall as it's slapped foul by Blanton. But they are very different. And there's vanilla ice cream, there's chocolate ice cream. They're both delicious, and they both just have their own little styles, the way they carry themselves in the circle, but also the way they deliver their pitches.
And because they're so different as an opponent, you want to spend the entire week preparing for each one of them. So you've got Gottschall with that curveball and the command that she has really of all of her pitches, and she's been able to add in a couple more off speeds this year, which makes it even more difficult to hit off of her. And she's going to throw it about 62, 63 miles per hour. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you've got 74, 75 miles an hour plus that you're seeing consistently from Pickens, along with the late movement that she has. And oh yeah, she's added a changeup more this season than she has during her freshman year. So you have to try to prepare for a variety of different speeds and locations and spins, and not to mention some of the most dominant that you're going to see in any of those categories.
Blanton checked the swing. Tennessee disagrees. 3-2. Gibson at third, 2 down. College baseball for Lauren Borzolari. Ball one. When Alabama scored in Game 3, Madison, that ended a string of 19 consecutive scoreless innings thrown by the combination of Pickens and Gottschall. That's sliced foul. It's 1-1.
Of course, we see those numbers and we think of just how much confidence it probably has to give your defense and your pitching staff. But I think about it from the offensive standpoint, too. When you've got either one of those pitchers rolling out there on any given day and just how often they're able to throw those shutouts, hold teams to 0 runs, it takes a little bit of pressure off of the offense, too, knowing that they don't have to go out there and score 7, 8, 9 runs a game to come out with a win. Now, of course, as an offense, you'd love to score 9, 10, 11 runs a game, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way.
It's not going to happen against Pickens and Gottschall. I don't know a lot, but I know that. 2-1. Bloops. Mueller can't get it. She covered so much ground in Tuscaloosa during the series last weekend, but just couldn't get that, and the bubbles are going in the Kentucky dugout. There's the first hit.
Pickens tries to work Borzarelli right on the hands and gets her jammed up here. Thought Mueller got a great jump on this. Actually takes a couple of steps towards third before she turns out towards left field, but either way, nice hit for Borzarelli.
Kentucky was waiting 40 minutes for the bubble show to start. We've seen teams wait a lot longer than that, facing Pickens and Gottschall in recent weeks. Top of the order, here's Smith. Grounded to first, her first time. Smith to second. Rodriguez on the charge. Smith's got great speed and she beats it out. Now remember, Tennessee used a challenge earlier and it was unsuccessful. If they challenge this and they're unsuccessful, they'd be out of challenges for the rest of the game.
You can see where Destiny Rodriguez started on this play too. She was shaded right up the middle, right towards second base, has to charge this slow developing ground ball really hard. Makes a good throw over to first base. That's a close one at first. Smith with some really good speed moving down that baseline. Not much else you can do if you're Rodriguez.
Down. Koffel flied out to center her first time. Pickens starts her with strike one. Koffel, a career .385 hitter. First team all-conference the last 2 years. All-time leader in runs batted in and home runs in Kentucky program history. 1-1. Koffel has done some of her best work under pressure, hitting .459 with 2 outs. Koffel with a soft line drive to left. They'll drop down for a base hit. Here comes Sullivan. Here comes the throw. It's not in time. Kentucky has a 1-0 lead. Aaron Koffel delivers again with 2 outs.
Pickens started off Koffel in this at-bat with a 63-mile-per-hour changeup, then goes to her high-velocity step. This is a screwball in on the hands of Koffel, but she has such quick hands up at the plate. She's able to turn on this one, muscle it out to left field, and I love the aggressiveness by Kentucky here. Go ahead and sending the runner from second base because you know you're not going to get a ton of opportunities with Carlin Pickens in the circle, and when you get one, you take advantage of it. And Kentucky goes ahead here in the top of the 3rd inning.
It all happens with 2 outs. Starts with the number 9 hitter, Borzilleri with the single. Then Smith with the single, and then Koffel with a single. Now can Vanessa Nesby get it done, although it looks like Peyton Plotz is stepping in. Pinch hitter here for Kentucky. Swing and a miss for strike one. Plotz, a freshman, who's got good pop. Rachel Lawson putting her out here in a big spot. One and one. Plotz 2 for 7 in the South Carolina series. Had a big 3-run home run in game 1 of the Auburn series. Can't catch up to that pitch down and in, and it's 1-2. Pickens goes off speed. Count evens up 2-2.
Off speed at 60 miles per hour. That's what some pitchers' fastballs are, but that's the pitch that's really taken her to a new level. This is a bit low there. Good take by the freshman up at the plate.
Good hack, fouled out of play.
Plotz has some pretty good numbers against right-handed pitching so far this year, batting .333 with an on-base percentage over .400. Pretty confident hack on that 2-2 pitch there.
Seven home runs on the season for the freshman from Lexington. Battling against Pickens, another 2-2 pitch. Count goes full, 3-2. Pickens with the 3-2. Bounces it up there, and the freshman works a walk, and the bases are loaded for Kentucky.
The definition of a quality at bat right there for Plotz. Takes a couple of changeups down in the dirt, watches the rise ball go by, fouls off a couple of close ones. Those are the types of at-bats that Coach Rachel
over the last 10 games hitting .333. But if there's one area for concern for Tennessee is the bats aren't scorching hot right now overall.
They're not quite, like you said earlier, not quite firing on all cylinders, because we know the potential that this lineup has top to bottom. All of them, of course, being right-handed, but they still have that good mix of speed and power throughout the lineup, and you just haven't seen that consistency in what they've been able to swing at, even the quality of the balls coming off of the bats when they are swinging the bat. Kiki Malloy got robbed of a hit in that last inning with the bases loaded, just scorched one out to center.
2-1 now to Pooney. So Schoonover working with a lead here in the bottom half of the third. I know Stephanie's fan club is really big in Big Blue Nation, but that fan club certainly growing by the moment at the College Station Annex. Ground ball to second base. Gainesville, even Fayetteville, they're all big Kentucky and Stephanie Schoonover fans right now.
Probably a little Aaron Koffel too with that base hit that we saw. Scored the first run of this ball game. Rachel Lawson over there calling pitches for Stephanie Schoonover. The only pitcher on their staff that Coach Lawson calls the pitches for. Grace Ballman calls the pitches for everybody else on the staff. Although both of them chart throughout the game just in case there needs to be a pitching change made. Either one of them are ready at any moment for whoever needs to call pitches over there in that dugout.
One to Gibson. It does seem a little unique, but you can see why it is that Lawson calls the pitches for Schoonover, because it almost felt like talking to Rachel about it, like that shared Braden thing, like they kind of are on the same page. So why not keep a good thing going? Schoonover obviously battled injury last year, but she was the ace last year. She's the ace this year. She's been a fantastic pitcher for Kentucky. They can keep her healthy, and they just seem to really work well together, so keep that working relationship here in Schoonover's final year.
And Schoonover has a really good sense of the zone, too. Coach Lawson's going to call the pitch type that she wants, but really Schoonover's the one that's deciding, does she throw it off the plate? Does she throw it just a little bit on the plate? Really, what locations does she want to throw, given the count, given the batter that's up at the plate, too, given the situation within the ball game? All of those conversations and thoughts go into throwing each and every pitch that you see out of the hand of Schoonover.
2-2 to Gibson. We'll do it again.
Working Gibson back and forth here. Some rise balls up and underneath the hand, some curve balls out and away. Over the course of the past month, Gibson has really seen a steady dose of pitches outside, whether they're drop balls or curve balls away from the barrel.
Skips up there. Gibson still hitting .338 overall, but in SEC play hitting .212, so that average has come way down. She's gone 8 games without a home run. One of the best hitters in the SEC, been pitched very tough.
I was looking specifically at the curveball because I feel like that's the pitch that right-handed pitchers in particular go to the most against McKenna Gibson. And from the beginning of the season until April 10th, which was right before Tennessee's Mississippi State series, she was batting .391 against curveballs. Since then, April 11th until now, just .167 against the curveball. And she's somebody that has great plate coverage up there too.
Takes a walk. It was an 8-pitch at bat. Fourth walk issued by Schoonover in addition to a hit batter. Have a pinch runner here for Gibson. Amanda Allen will come on. One down, one on for Riley West, who struck out her first time. Kentucky on top 1-0 here in the third inning here at Sherry Parker Lee Stadium, thanks to an Aaron Koffel RBI single with 2 down in the top half of the inning. One to one. Schoonover 2 appearances in the South Carolina series, 1 start, through 12 innings, gave up just 2 earned runs, struck out 8. Went the distance in the Game 2 win, giving up just 1 run, scattered 7 hits. She is the anchor, the ace of this Kentucky staff. And she can go long. She threw 181 pitches in one of those Alabama games.
Really seems like she's one of those arms that just can throw and throw and throw, and you very rarely see a dip in the velocity too.
In on the hands, popped up on the infield. Borzarelli has it, 2 down.
Really seeing her work both sides of the plate. Likes to typically go away with those curveballs, work the rise balls inside, and I think because she's just bouncing back and forth, she's gotten a lot of jammed hits from Tennessee when she's throwing it inside, maybe not able to square those pitches up on the outside part of the plate, getting some swings and misses outside of the zone. Even though she has given up a couple of free passes, she's not one that's going to be fazed by those walks that she's given up.
Strike 1 to Nugent, who singled her first time. One. Well, we talked about the injury that Stephanie dealt with last year, missed 15 games. Remember, had that forearm injury. Kentucky was rolling, and then she just had to watch from the dugout for a long period of time. Still made 27 appearances last year through 114 innings. Foul tip, and it's 1-2. One and 2, the count to Nugent. Fly ball slicing to foul ground. Blanton is there to retire the side. With Rachel Lawson, the Kentucky head coach, I know you're going to hate the day when Aaron Koffel leaves, Rachel, because she came up in a position where finally it broke your way. There she is with 2 runners on, and she always delivers, it seems, with 2 outs, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, she's just such a clutch player, and, you know, she has been for so many years. It was really cool to see her be able to get an opportunity and come through for us.
And, Coach, the bottom half of your order really coming through there. Lauren Borzarelli able to come through to get on base to start things off with 2 outs. How important is it to get that production 1 through 9 in your order in a game like this?
Well, turning the lineup over is everything, right? So, you know, the best teams have production all the way through. So Lauren's been in that spot for us for quite some time now, and does a great job of turning it over to Riley.
We appreciate the time as always.
All right, thank you.
We're up against the clock. I was just going to say, we're getting messages from College Station in Gainesville thanking you for what's happening so far. Keep up the good work, Rachel. No, we're not kidding. I don't know. Are you getting messages?
No, I'm
You're
not.
always dialed
No,
in during
I am
the
not.
Of course, there's a lot of eyes on what happens with Tennessee for what they're going to do, but from Rachel Lawson's point of view, obviously it just starts with taking care of what they can do, and it begins at the plate. They just wanted to have a better showing offensively than they did against South Carolina. But when you think about how tight things are in the SEC and what we saw last year with South Carolina's run, you got a pitcher like Schoonover, anything can happen in the postseason. So you come out of this series with a win or 2, maybe 3, you never know, feeling great about yourself. It's really going to help you taking on Tennessee. High RPI, high KPI team. That's going to help you as well when it comes to Selection Sunday.
Well, and with it being the last series of the regular season, any team out there, you want to do whatever you can to try to boost that resume when it comes time for NCAA selections for the postseason. And right now, Kentucky's sitting at a 27 in the RPI, 10 strength of schedule. I think that's something, too, that you have to take in consideration when you look at the numbers offensively for this Kentucky team. They've been playing tough teams throughout this entire season, not just in SEC play. Started off the year with a couple of games against Stanford with Nigeri Kennedy out there in the circle for the Stanford Cardinal. Came away with 2 wins against Stanford early on in this season. And they've just continued to challenge themselves in that preseason to get to the SEC.
Fouled off by Ebbs, who struck out her first time. A lot of blue in the stands here in Knoxville tonight. Ebbs with a solid shot to center field, but Malloy drifts over to put it away for out number 1.
Really felt like Taylor Ebbs was seeing the ball pretty well out of Pickens' hand in that at bat. A couple of hard hit foul balls down that left field line. You see all the high fives going up and down in that dugout because they know she just smoked one out to Kiki Malloy in center field.
Krista Hamilton grounded to third her first time. Ball 1.
You see that pitch coming in at 68 miles per hour. That's not Pickens' velocity dropping. That's another speed that she throws. That's the rise ball that she brings in between the changeup and the fastball speed.
This one is hit out to right field and hit well in a good play by Panel, drifting back for out number 2. Hamilton retired.
A couple of hard line drives in a row there from Kentucky. Nice play by Panel out in right field. Gets a good jump on this one. Not an easy play to make. Going back towards the warning track makes that one look easy. And I'm wondering if Tennessee's starting to go more towards that. I'm hesitant to call it an off-speed rise coming in at 68, but off-speed for Carlin Pickens' rise ball, because Kentucky's had some quality at bats going back to that third inning where they were able to string together a couple of hits.
Ball 1 to Margaret Tobias. One and 1. For all the talk of the Tennessee pitching staff, their defense has been solid, fielding at .975, which is tied for 4th in the SEC. 31 errors, 3rd fewest total in the SEC. Whoa! Not something you see every day, a broken bat. And they do not use wood bats in college softball, if you didn't know.
Right off the end of the bat, look at where the barrel flies out towards shortstop. The ball goes foul, but everybody's looking. Do we field the bat? Do we field the barrel coming towards us? Don't see that every day. I think that bat has seen its last hit.
Well, unless you have an excellent pit crew who can repair it. Margaret Tobias, that was my gamer. Well, Margaret, it was a faulty bat. Whose bat does she have now?
Whoever swings the same size and weight, go ahead and pass it along.
Now we know what happens 75 miles per hour at the very end of a slapper's bat.
The barrel just flies off.
Pickens steps in, ready with the 1-2. There's off speed again. Karen, I know you'll be honoring your seniors later this weekend, but what has this group meant to you as a head coach?
You know, they've meant a lot because 4 out of the 6, they came in under me after Ralph had already decided to retire, and Kiki and Riley both played for Ralph, but in a way I feel like these 6 are the group that's really helped me grow as a head coach, and so they're very special to me.
And Coach, now second time through the order, Kiki smoked a ball out to center field, weren't able to get anybody across with the bases loaded. What are you wanting to see from your offense adjustment-wise against Schoonover out there in the circle?
I think just go in there with a plan and be committed to it. I feel like some of our swings with less than 2 strikes are just a bit defensive, like we're just not on time. And I think that's a sign of us not being committed to our plan. And then with 2 strikes, we've got to do a better job. We've got to shorten up and put the ball in play.
Karen, we appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
I feel like with Karen, that has been a kind of a running theme here over the last few weeks where she's talked about sticking to a plan. Does that sound familiar to you with how she's kind of thought about how this offense is right now?
Yeah, I think looking even back to that Alabama series last weekend for this offense, and when she's talking about sticking to that plan, it means selling out to whether it's a certain spin or a speed or a location, even if it's as broad as just hitting something in the middle of the zone. You want to be able to have an authoritative swing and commit to that zone, and that's what she's not seeing consistently in these at-bats. You notice how she never says string together a bunch of hits or home runs. She's really talking about the process within the at-bat and the pitches specifically and how the swings look when they are up there.
I think about the game they lost to Alabama. The only 2 hits in that game were off the bat of Kiki Malloy, and she went the other way a couple of times. And I think during that game, and you've talked about it a little bit, that's part of it. You have to go with what you're offered, and that's part of the plan, not trying to pull something that you should be going the other way with.
And when you formulate a plan, too, of course, you take into account what your strengths are as a hitter, but also what the pitcher is giving you. If your strengths as a hitter are inside, but the pitcher is giving you nothing but away, maybe change things up, go up there with the plan to take away that outside part of the plate. But when something's not working, you've got to try to change your game plan up a little bit to get that momentum back on your side. And oftentimes when you go up, you can go up there and have a quality at bat, and it might not always equal a hit, but maybe you're hitting the ball hard, maybe you get deep into a count, really make the pitcher work and throw a bunch of pitches. Those are the types of things that can help out your teammates sitting on deck behind you.
I think a great example of that, I'm going to use Kiki Malloy's name again. Her second at-bat, that line shot, couldn't hit it any harder. You just hit it right at Nesby.
And of course, as a batter, do you want to do more? Yes, you want to score runs, but
it's a fly ball, hit the deep left field. It is back, and it is caught. Smith moved over to make the catch, one away.
Just another example for Tennessee of executing the game plan, but the defense for Kentucky coming through. Riley Smith having to run a long way for this. She's actually shaded a little bit more towards left center when she starts this run all the way over into foul territory, right up against the wall. She's using her right hand to feel for the wall as she's jumping up in the air to make that incredible grab. What a nice defensive play by Riley Smith out in the outfield. We've talked a lot about her hitting numbers so far this year, but the defense outstanding for Smith in left field.
One down for Destiny Rodriguez, who was hit by a pitcher first time. Riley, a member of the SEC All-Defensive team a couple of seasons ago, so you know she can get it done in the field. She has really elevated her hitting this year, hit .279 last season. Came into this game a team high .375. Still smiling after that catch. Rightly so.
Beat out that infield single 2 in the third that helped them score the run in that inning. If she doesn't beat that out, Aaron Koffel doesn't come up to the plate.
And we talked to Rachel Lawson this week. She brought up Riley Smith, just talked about how much fun she has with softball and that she enjoys the big moment. She made that moment for Kentucky. Made it big. Three and one, the count now to Rodriguez. Rodriguez is hit by a pitch for the second time tonight. Here is Katsoyanopoulos. Strike one. walked her first time. 1-1. Jackie Kirkpatrick running for Rodriguez. One and two. It was in Laura Mueller's direction.
Got to be heads up over in that on-deck circle. Moving a little bit further back behind Katsoyanopoulos. Did it hit her?
I think it got her in the
Yeah,
arm.
look at this. Well, it's hard to tell from that angle. It looks like she was looking at her arm after she moved a bit further behind home plate.
She's still looking down there. Karen Weekly has come down to check with the on-deck hitter.
Coach Karen Weekly just moving the on-deck circle.
Hang on a second. I think Rachel Lawson came out and said, because Mueller was moving down to try to get out of harm's way, and then she moved down the mat for the on-deck circle. Karen Weekly did. Still in the game. Just spicing things up here. This is game one of the series, by the way. Just getting things going.
It's getting tense. There's a lot on the line, obviously, for both teams in this ball game. Mentioned Coach Karen Weekly and her Tennessee Lady Volunteers trying to win a regular SEC title back-to-back years.
Swing and a miss. Katsoyanopoulos down on strikes. 2 down.
And they haven't been able to see their offense click consistently, and a lot of it has to do with the pitches that Schoonover's bringing too. This is another one of those curveballs. Again, she'll work it up in the zone as well. All four of Schoonover's strikeouts today have come on that curveball away to the righties.
Works away, but it's ball one to Mueller. Struck out her first time. One and one. What would a Kentucky-Tennessee game be in any sport if there wasn't just a little bit of feistiness?
That rivalry edge, right?
3-1 to the number 9 hitter, Mueller.
Feels really tense in every SEC series, but I guess this matchup too, because the states are right next to each other. Just so much on the line this weekend for both teams.
Another walk issued by Schoonover. She walked Malloy and Pooney back-to-back in the first. She walked Katsoyanopoulos in the second. She walked Gibson in the third, and she's walked Mueller here in the fourth, and she's hit Rodriguez twice.
Well, now you've got to deal with Kiki Malloy with 2 runners on board. In the way that she hit that ball extremely hard back in the second inning, I'd be staying away from those curveballs away, because she's been seeing that pitch extremely well.
Comes inside for strike one.
This is where it gets tough pitch calling, right? Because you want to try to stay in a different part of the zone than Kiki got a good piece of barrel on the last time, but you don't want to stay in the same spot too many times.
1-1.
Because she can also turn on a pitch on the inner half.
One and two.
All 3 pitches so far in this at-bat have stayed inside wondering if maybe Kiki was thinking they might go away again since the first two were inside, and she decides to take it upon herself and call timeout and go over and have a conversation with Coach Chris Malveaux now that she's found herself behind in this 1-2 count.
What are they talking about? Trying to guess what the pitch is going to be here from Schoonover? What would that conversation be?
I think right now it's going back to just reacting to the pitch that's coming out of the hand. Kiki Malloy's got great hand-eye coordination, maybe just shortening up a little bit to get to the velocity of what she's bringing and to increase that amount of plate coverage. When you shorten up, you have less time to think. Just put the ball in play, try to make something happen.
Line shot to left. Malloy delivers. Here comes the runner. The throw is cut off. The throw over to third is not in time. Malloy takes second, and we're tied at 1. Whatever the conversation was, it worked. Tennessee ties it here in the 4th.
Schoonover goes back again to the inside part of the plate. Look at how short and compact Kiki's swing is on that pitch up and inside. Gets a good piece of barrel on it, drives it hard out to Riley Smith out in left field. I thought for a second Kentucky was going to let this throw go all the way home to see if they could get Kirkpatrick trying to score there. People out of position, so then the trail runners are able to advance for Tennessee. Both runners now over in the scoring position, and another piece of 2-out clutch hitting that we've seen in this ball game.
Yeah, good point, Madison. Malloy 324 with 2 outs before that hit that tied the game. We saw Koffel do it for Kentucky. Malloy does it for Tennessee. The top 2 players for each team. You'd expect that as we turn the calendar to May. Rachel Lawson now with a conversation with Steve Gould.
I wonder if she was asking if foul tip there? I'd like to think that my ability to read lips gets better, but it just has not, unfortunately.
I'm the lip reader. You're the context clue reader. Let's keep our roll
There we
straight.
go.
2-0. Finally, the walks and the hit batters catching up to Schoonover here in the 4th inning. Rodriguez was hit by the pitch. Kirkpatrick running for her, scores the run. Put Tennessee on the board here in the bottom of the 4th. Three and 1 to Pooney. We mentioned before, Zeta in the last 10 games hitting .333 with 4 home runs. This is a fly ball to shallow outfield, and it drops. Miscommunication, 2-run score, and Tennessee leads 3-1. Tobias drifted back. Blanton and Nesby thought she had it. Tobias turned around and it dropped in, and Tennessee's in front.
This is going to go down as a base hit all the way in the books, but this is absolutely a mistake defensively by Kentucky, and it all comes down to the communication when this ball is hit up in the air. Schoonover makes a nice pitch here, rise ball up and in. Gets Pooney to hit it where she wants it. And you see all 3 of those players between Tobias, Blanton, and Nesby coming in on that fly ball, and it almost looked like each one of them thought the other one was calling it. A bit of indecision there. That ball drops out in right field, and 2 more runs.
Strike 1 to Gibson. Two RBI for Pooney, giving her 37 now in the season. Gibson 0 for 1 with a walk. One thing with Tennessee, this has been a big reason why they have 37 wins, 16 coming in SEC play. You can't give them outs. Can't walk a ton of batters. They're trying to find their bat still a little bit, but feels like between the walks, the hit batter, and the pop fly that drops in, gifts that Karen Weekly will take.
But they've got batters top to bottom that have come through with clutch hits for Tennessee in those 37 wins that you mentioned throughout this season. I think all the way to the beginning of the year and the clutch home run that Destiny Rodriguez had to get them a win over Baylor at the beginning of the year. Taylor Panel with some clutch home runs. Sophia Nugent, of course, with some clutch home runs. Riley West, like you name it, you go through this order. They've come through big for the Lady Volunteers.
Misses, it's 2-2 to Gibson. Well, Malloy added to her list this inning. She was down in the count 1-2. Called time, talked to hitting coach Chris Malveaux. And on the next pitch, lined a solid single to put Tennessee on the board. Gibson with a foul ball. This one Smith can't get.
She tried. She went all the way over to that bullpen. Such a smart move by Kiki in that at-bat, too. The call time, just knowing things maybe were speeding up a little bit after she fell behind 1-2, just to calm things down, have that conversation.
That's out of play. Kentucky had a 1-0 lead. But Tennessee has scored 3 times with 2 outs. Another 2-2 to Gibson. That one is hammered foul.
It's a really nice at-bat by McKenna Gibson, fouling off pitches down the left field line, fouling off pitches down the right field line. Really seems like she's seeing a little bit of everything pretty well here.
She's fouled off 4 pitches after 2 strikes on the board from Schoonover. That's down low. Hamilton tried to sell it, and the count now 3-2.
Good take low in the zone, too. We even saw a changeup from Schoonover in this at-bat just to try to throw something different to McKenna Gibson.
Pooney can go with the pitch. Grounded to the shortstop. Koffel throws to first to retire the side. 3 runs scoring with 2 outs. Battle in 2021, as did Arkansas in the regular season.
That Florida A&M series is going to be such a good one. Of course, even outside of everything that's at stake within the SEC standings and who's going to come away with that regular season title. But both of those teams having really incredible years. Look back at the preseason SEC coaches poll. Both of those teams really picked to finish middle of the pack in the SEC, and here they are right up there at the top going into the last weekend in the regular season. A&M and Emily Kennedy in the circle has had a fantastic season for them.
Slapped, knocked down by Mueller. Mueller throws, not in time. Blanton has a leadoff single for Kentucky here in the 5th.
Kentucky just putting the ball on ground, making something happen. This is a nice play by Laura Mueller going to her right into that 5-6 hole. She has to dive, but rule of thumb, as soon as you have to dive as an infielder with a slapper up to the plate, most likely you're not going to be able to make that play over at first base. But she gave it her best shot. It was a really close play over at first, even with her diving into the 5-6 hole.
4th hit for Kentucky, first time they've had the leadoff batter aboard. And here is Borzilleri.
Speaking of A&M, Borzilleri had a great weekend against Texas A&M earlier this year. Hit 3 home runs in that series. One of the home runs coming off of Emily Kennedy, who consistently brings it from the left side into 70, 71 miles per hour. Also hit a home run off of Shaylee Ackerman. It seemed like the ball looked about the size of a beach ball to Lauren that weekend.
That's got to be a good feeling. 2-0. There's the strike. It's 2-1. One more thought on the Florida-Texas A&M weekend. Florida coming off a win over Florida State last night. 15-13 the final in 9 innings. Kendra Falvey goes 5 for 6 at the plate. Gets her first home run of the season. Kendra is all speed in everything she does because her home run trot was a home run sprint in that 9th inning. She gave who's our friend from Arkansas?
Nia Carter.
Nia Carter,
Nia
who
Carter.
had the, I think Nia had the record for fastest home run trot using quote fingers. Kendra giving her a run for her money last night.
Kendra was all the way at second base by the time she started celebrating the home run. Most batters barely make it to first base before they start celebrating. Just
Kendra
shows
can't
you
do anything slow. We've seen that during her Florida career.
that was a crazy game last night between those two
Oh.
teams. A great in-state rivalry between Florida and Florida State. An offensive explosion for both of those teams. Both starting pitchers getting relief for and then coming back in to finish the game. Both Allison Royalty for Florida State and Keegan Rothrock for Florida entering back into the ball game.
Rothrock did not pitch against Florida State last week in the Seminole win. This one is hit deep to left and well and deep and gone. Lauren Borzilleri, her 6th of the season, her 2nd hit of the night, and Kentucky answers right back to tie it at 3.
Kentucky has just continued to capitalize when they get people on base. Clutch swings from this lineup, none bigger than the one coming from Lauren Borzilleri in this 9 spot. Times up this one perfectly, high velocity, and she gets her barrel out in front for this drop ball that's working low and inside to the righty, opens up that front side and smokes this one out over the windscreen out in left field for 2 runs for the Wildcats.
A no doubt.
Spin and a ton of late movement on her pitches is what they're going to have to deal with.
So Kentucky has to adjust to Gottschall, and here's her scouting report.
That deceptive spin, she attacks the zone, so she is not going to give up a ton of free passes. She's going to go ahead and go right after these batters. She pumps in a backdoor curveball for strike number 1 to Riley Smith.
Pickens down in the bullpen. Smith off the glove of Gibson. That'll be a base hit. Smith's got great speed, thinking 2 all the way. Dives in safely with a double. All energy, lots of fun, and delivering in the field, at the plate, and on the bases.
This is a great read off of the bat by Riley Smith here. She knows she hits this one hard down the line. It ricochets off of the glove of McKenna Gibson, who's playing up, respecting the speed, and no hesitation from Riley Smith as she rounds first base, dives into second base. Pretty good throw there from Laura Mueller to get that ball into second base, too.
How about this? Peyton Gottschall, one of the best pitchers in the country. They will intentionally walk Erin Koffel. It's not the first time we've seen Koffel be walked intentionally in her career.
Might not be the last. 64 walks all of last season. Coming into this series, had 42 walks. It was pretty incredible looking at the numbers that Erin Koffel was able to put up last season, even with being walked 64 times. Still able to hit 19 home runs, still able to drive in 55 RBI.
Oh, we're keeping track of it. That's 151 career walks.
That's
not
why
all
I leave the
intentionally.
math to you.
That's the kind of respect. And this is part of what I think Rachel Lawson was looking for, trying to find some protection behind Koffel. Nesby moves up to 3rd in the lineup. Remember, Plotz hit for Nesby last time up and walked. So Nesby re-entered. Now she'll hit here with 2 on and nobody out. Certainly looking to sacrifice here. Take strike 1. Nesby struck out facing Pickens in the first. Puts it into play. They look for the force at 3rd and get it. 1 away.
Another benefit for Tennessee, of course, of intentionally walking Erin Koffel is now the force play at 3rd base is in play with the slapper up. So slappers are trying to drive the ball into that 5-6 hole, and it really plays perfectly here into Tennessee's defense. Ground ball to McKenna Gibson. Nice throw over to Laura Mueller, who was already shaded over towards third base. An easy out, number 1.
2 on and 1 out, and here's Grace Lorsung. Gottschall threw 11 2/3 in the Alabama series, gave up 7 hits, 1 run, struck out 6, started 2 of the 3. 1-1. 18 wins on the season, a 1.03 earned run average. Lorsung a couple of flyouts against Pickens tonight. Lorsung with the bunts. Gottschall on the first. Koffel and Nesby move up 2 down.
Yeah, I typically wonder, do you really want to lay down a sacrifice bunt, get to 2 outs now? Yes, both runners are over into scoring position, but your offense has 2 outs. But it seems like the clutch hitting that we've seen in this game, or at least majority of it, has come with 2 away so far in this ball game. The only runs that haven't were the Borzilleri home run out to left field in this inning.
Strike 1 to Taylor Ebbs. Ebbs flied out to center her last time. Big cut, it's 0-2. Swung on and missed. Gottschall gets the strikeout. Kentucky
Scored 2 runs on in that inning.
on the first pitch of the 5th inning. Riley West lifts one out of here. '11th of the season for Riley West, and Tennessee's back in front.
So many shifts in the momentum in this ball game. Just as Kentucky had the momentum, Tennessee takes it right back with just 1 swing of the bat. This is a pitch that's low and inside, and Riley West turns on it. Not an easy pitch to get solid barrel on, to get your barrel out in front, and she drives that one out to left field to give the Lady Volunteers the lead.
Sophia Nugent 1 for 2. Takes strike 1. The first extra base hit of the night is a solo home run for senior Riley West. This one is hammered but foul by Nugent. Nugent singled in the 2nd, flied out in the 3rd. This one is hit to deep right center field. It is back. It is out of here. Long gone, Sophia Nugent. Back-to-back home runs for Tennessee. 5-3 Lady Vols.
This is the type of offense that Tennessee is capable of producing every single game. So much power throughout this lineup, 1 through 9. This is a 2-strike pitch. It's a curveball outside to Sophia Nugent, and she hammers this thing out to right center field. Back-to-back solo shots to increase that lead for Tennessee here at the bottom of the 5th inning.
And that will be it for Stephanie Schoonover, as Rachel Lawson has made a pitching change to bring Alexia Lakatena on. Strikeouts through 112 pitches. Panel lays down a bunt. It's a beauty.
Trying to do that a couple of times throughout this year where she's just trying to catch the defense off guard, and she's able to do it right there. New pitcher comes into the ball game. You know they want to throw a strike. Shows bunt and squares late here. Immediately takes off down towards first base. And because the corner infielders were playing so far back, she's able to leg that one out easily.
I like the sarcasm in the Tennessee dugout. You know, you've got back-to-back home runs. This one is a line shot deep to right and over the head of the right fielder, Blanton. Panel heading to third. She'll be held there. It's a double for Rodriguez. 4 straight hits for Tennessee. That one is worth a flex. You saw the dugout giving the flex to the bunt single? Yeah, well, the party continues here in Knoxville.
Look at the way that Destiny Rodriguez gets behind this pitch to drive it the opposite direction. Just over the head of Jenna Blanton out in right field. This Tennessee offense is wasting absolutely no time with Lacatana coming into this ball game. Not even giving you time to comment on the sarcasm that you saw over in that dugout.
I know. That's up high for a ball. West, first pitch, home run. Panel, first pitch bunt. Rodriguez, first pitch double. Second and third for Katsuyanopolis. 1-1. One and two. We haven't even had a chance to introduce the new pitcher for Kentucky.
Clearly the game plan for Tennessee was to go up there and start hacking and being aggressive early in the count with the new pitcher coming into this ball game. Like I said, when a pitcher comes in, they want to settle in, they want to throw strikes early, and as a batter, you can take advantage of that. She's going to work a little bit more down in the zone than what we saw from Stephanie Schoonover. Going to throw it in a low to mid-60s. Has that curveball that she'll throw to both sides of the plate. Developed a changeup in the offseason that she uses. But with that curveball, she gets a bit of down bite on it. She'll throw a drop curve, so she's going to work it not just away from the righties, but also down in the zone.
In on the hands, popped up. Lorsing in foul grounds. One away. Lacatena trying to keep it a 2-run game, but Tennessee threatening here as Laura Mueller steps in. Mueller against Schoonover, struck out in the second, walked and scored in the fourth. Strike one.
Taking a look at the aggressiveness for Tennessee early in the count in these at-bats here in the 5th inning. I think back to their game against Belmont last week before they went into that Tuscaloosa series against Alabama, where Coach Weekly really liked the fact that they were aggressive in their at-bats. Wanted that to carry over into the SEC series, said that's something that they need to see more from the offense. And sometimes the pitch that you're looking for can come on the first pitch, as we've seen in this 5th inning, but oftentimes it could just be early in the at-bat that you're really selling out towards that game plan, whatever it might be.
2-1. Tennessee's definitely been in attack mode. They didn't have an extra base hit in the first 4 innings. They have 3 here in the 5th. 2-1 from Lacatena. 2-2.
Good location there. Not a pitch that you want to swing at 2-1. It's a good pitcher's strength. Low and outside.
Another one in on the hands, popped up to Lorsung, 2 down. So a couple of soft pop-ups as Kentucky within and out of getting out of the jam. But here comes Kiki Malloy.
With 2 outs again. Hit the ball hard in her last 2 at-bats, both of them with 2 away.
What is that? Is that a Village People tribute band in the stands tonight?
I kept thinking YMCA, and I was trying to think of the name of the band, so I appreciate you having my back there. We were on the same page. You just came up with it first.
The Locos selling out here on a Thursday night.
There's always a theme every game. It changes. I always wonder, is there superstitions that go in with a theme, too, for the Lady Vol Locos? Like, if one's working, do they stick with it for a couple of games?
Malloy with the fly ball. Koffel is under it, and that will retire the side. But back-to-back home run. But a win here today. And then you can start thinking about it on Friday. Now, they control their own destiny. They run the table here against Kentucky. They're regular season champions in the SEC. But a stumble here against Kentucky, and then the door is open for either Texas A&M or Florida. And even though there was a bit of a stumble here today for Tennessee, Tennessee bats have come alive in support of Carlin Pickens, who was chased from the game after a home run by Lauren Borzilleri.
And ultimately, that's what you want from your entire team. Your offense isn't going to have their best day every single day, along with the pitching staff. They're not going to feel their best every single day, but how can you complement one another to pick up your teammates when maybe they're not as sharp out there in the circle, or maybe the offense isn't quite getting it done? And I think you've seen that really throughout the season for Tennessee, and even looking back at the past couple of weekends where maybe the offense isn't firing on all cylinders, but they're still able to come away with series wins because of their pitching.
Hamilton 0 for 2 against Pickens tonight, facing Gotcho for the first time. That's out of play. Two and two. You notice Gotcho goes old school. She's got the wristband with the code on there. Most teams, not all, but most have gone to PitchCom and the watch, getting the electronic signal from the dugout. That's a called strike three. Hamilton is retired. One away.
Really well located curveball, low and outside. Threw a lot of rise balls in this at bat to Hamilton, but goes back to her bread and butter. Look at that pitch. Out of the hand, it starts right at the knees and just stays there the entire time. Breaks on that outside part of the zone. You can see just how fiery Peyton Gottschall is when she's out there in the circle. And Eric, you mentioned that armband. A lot of pitchers went to the electronic communication to speed up the time in between pitches to make sure that they're getting the signal on time. But Peyton Gottschall's one of those pitchers that I don't think needed the action clock just because of how quickly she works in the circle. She honestly picks up our pace of play up here in the booth, too, just because how quickly she moves.
You'd make the pitch clock a 12-second pitch clock, and maybe then she'd be up against it. But every time, it goes back to 20. She gets halfway to second base, then steps into the circle, gets it, and is ready to rock. 1-1. Pinch hitter for Kentucky is Allie Hutchins. Freshman hit third in the lineup Sunday against South Carolina. Was 0 for 4 in the Carolina series. This popped up. Katsoyanopoulos takes control.
You could hear Julia communicating on that one as soon as that ball was put up in the air. Starts calling her teammates off to make sure that nobody else is going to come in there to field that one. There's not going to be any bit of miscommunication on that infield fly ball. She had that one all the way.
You want to get extra loud there at that part of the field too, so your pitcher doesn't get any bright ideas like I'm a fielder here. Just get back in the circle.
Pitchers have been known to go out of the circle and make a couple of plays. Looks like they even had a good laugh after that one. She was calling that one extremely loud, but she's used to commanding the infield. She caught for Tennessee last season, now showing that leadership over at first base.
First base, her natural position, but was willing to do whatever it took a season ago for Tennessee and was the catcher. Blanton's 1 for 2, reached on an infield single and scored in the 5th. 2-2. Swung on and missed. Third.
Stars emerge in that tournament. Something about that single elimination format just makes it so exciting from start to finish. Always interested, too, to see how the coaches decide to deploy their pitching in that type of format. In so many games back-to-back, so many different opponents. You might have faced them during the regular season. You might not have. How do these coaches decide to use their pitching in that conference tournament?
So we mentioned Alabama, Auburn, and Tennessee, Kentucky, the 2 series starting here on the final weekend of the season on a Thursday night. Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Auburn jumping out to a 4-0 lead over Alabama with Maddie Penta, of course, in the circle for Auburn. It's Pooney sending one fouling out of play. The combination of Beaver and Brisky allowed just 2 earned runs to Tennessee. But Auburn had an answer for Kayla Beaver tonight. Chased her after 2 1/3 innings. Beaver gave up 4 earned runs, 3 hits, couple of walks.
Amelia Leck, the transfer over for Auburn this season with a home run. Two-run home run in that first inning. Rose Roach with an RBI single. Anna Wohlers with another RBI single. That offense starting to click for Auburn against Alabama.
Day 1 of the tournament, there's 1 game. It's that 12-13 matchup. Auburn began play tonight in that 12 spot, so that'd be huge. They take a couple of games against Alabama. That could put Kentucky in jeopardy and sliding down to that 12-13 game. Ole Miss right now in 13th place. Ole Miss will be at Arkansas this weekend. Ole Miss coming off a series win against Auburn, so Rebels putting it together. But they run into an Arkansas team that has 5 straight series wins, including LSU last week. 3-2 to Pooney. This is for ball 4. She's on to lead things off here in the 6th.
Arkansas is another team that's got a really good pitching staff between Morgan Leinstock, the transfer over to Arkansas this season with that heavy drop ball, and then you've got Robin Heron, the lefty, with the high velocity up in the zone. Another one of those duos that can be really tough to prepare for just because they throw so differently out there in the circle.
Taylor on the run for Pooney. Pooney with a little advice to Gibson. Other series this weekend, Missouri will be at South Carolina. South Carolina took 2 out of 3 against Kentucky. How about that Mizzou-Mississippi State series? Mizzou was 1 strike away from sweeping Mississippi State, but Mississippi State came through down to their final strike. Fadapito came up with a clutch hit, the double, and Mississippi State kept it going and picked up a win in Como.
Nadia Barbary, the sophomore, with another clutch hit for them in that inning, too. They're a team that seems like when their offense is firing, when Aspen Wesley is throwing well in the circle, they're very tough to beat, especially with the way Madison Kennedy was hitting the ball this season. She's got 8 home runs in SEC play alone this year.
So Maddie and I will be in Starkville for the Sunday game. Interesting start times in that series. They begin the series tomorrow, 4 o'clock Central Time with Georgia. Then it's noon Central Time Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time on Sunday at News Park. So Rachel Lawson come out for a quick chat. LSU is done with conference play, 12-12 in the SEC. They are taking on Liberty in non-conference play this weekend to keep them sharp for postseason play. This is hammered to center field. Wow! Nesby diving play for the outs. Gibson robbed.
Vanessa Nesby came out of nowhere in center field. I thought this one was going to be a double off the bat. This one just hammered by McKenna Gibson right on the line out to center field, and she snags this one just before it hits the grass. You talk about timing in that first step. So crucial when it comes to those line drives. It's extremely difficult for outfielders to read hard line drives off of the bat like that. What a catch by the center fielder. We've seen some great defensive catches so far tonight for Kentucky, the one by Riley Smith, and then Vanessa Nesby with another gem there.
Here's Riley West, who homered her last time. 1 for 3 tonight. 1-1. Popped up, foul ground. Looked like there's enough room for the out as Borzarelli is retired. Here's Nugent. 2 down here in the bottom of the 6th. Ball 1. Two 2-0 to Nugent. 2 for 3 tonight. Singled in the 2nd. Fouled out in the 3rd. And hit her 9th home run of the season in the 5th. Went back-to-back with West in the 5th. 3-0.
She had a really good swing on an 0-2 pitch that was low and outside. She's one of those hitters that has so much power and really utilizes her back leg extremely well to drive the ball the opposite way. Finding herself in a good 3-0 count here.
4-pitch walk, Nugent's aboard. Taylor moves on to 2nd. Pinch running for Pooney. 2 on, 2 down for Panel.
Already 9 free passes between the walks and the hit by pitches given up by Kentucky pitching tonight. And against this type of offense, eventually those runners are going to find their way around to score.
That one misses for ball 1.
They got out of the bases loaded jam in the 2nd inning after a hit by pitch and a walk. And then finally Tennessee broke it open in the 4th. Hamilton coming out, having a quick conversation with Lacatena out there in the circle after falling behind again to another batter here. Now that Schoonover's out of the ball game, you see Grace Ballman standing next to Rachel Lawson. She's the one that's calling the pitches.
This one's in the gap, right center field. It's hit deep. It is gone! 3-run home run, Taylor Panel. Tennessee extends their lead here in the 6th.
Another home run that's a product of Tennessee sticking with the game plan, getting into a good hitter's count and capitalizing on it. Lacatena fell behind to 1-0 in this count. You knew that she was going to try to bring something into the zone. As a batter, that's when you get more aggressive. You are ready for anything that looks good, something that you can drive with authority. And how about that 3-run shot right there to extend Tennessee's lead by Taylor Panel.
5th home run of the season for the sophomore, her 2nd hit tonight. And it's an 8-3 lead for Tennessee. Ball 1 to Rodriguez. Tennessee win here tonight would improve them to 17-5 in the SEC. There's a strike, it's 1-1. That would mean Arkansas could not catch Tennessee to earn a share of the regular season title. The door would still be open for Florida, but the best Florida can hope for, because they'd be 2 games back in the loss column with Tennessee having 2 games left to play, would be a tie for the regular season title. Texas A&M began the night 1 game behind Tennessee in the standings. And as we pointed out before, A&M will be in Gainesville to start a 3-game series tomorrow night. La Catena gets Rodriguez swinging to retire this side. Heading to the 7th. Peyton Gottschall on in relief of Carlin Pickens. Kentucky scored 3 runs against Pickens. Lauren Borzilleri chased her from the game with a 2-run home run in the 5th inning. That tied the game at 3.
Borzilleri with a couple of big hits against Pickens, got the base hit in the 3rd inning with 2 away. That finally she came around to score after that Aaron Koffel base hit out to left field. Different look here with Gottschall in the circle.
1-2. Borzilleri singled in the 3rd, hit the 2-run home run in the 5th, her 6th of the season. Gets a piece to stay alive. The 3 runs for Kentucky scored by Blanton and Borzilleri, 8 and 9 in the lineup. Sullivan ran for Borzilleri in the 3rd. Another 1-2. 2-2. Hit hard but fouled. Line shot, what a night for the number 9 hitter, Lauren Borzilleri. 3 for 3, she leads off the 7 with a solid single.
You can even see just with the foul balls and the takes that she's had within her at-bats that she's seeing the ball extremely well. Moves up in the box now that you're not going to see as high a velocity out of the hand of Peyton Gottschall. Gets a pitch, drives it straight back up the middle for another base hit on the night for Borzilleri.
That'll be the night for Borzilleri because Mitchell comes on the run for her. So great job by the sophomore. 3 for 3. 3 of the 7 hits for Kentucky tonight. Top of the order, here's Riley Smith.
Smith's had a really nice night tonight as well. Had that infield base hit in the 3rd inning and then that double down the left field line in the 5th inning.
That was off of Gottschall. Good grab in the crowd. Carlin Pickens hanging out down the bullpen just in case. Smith pops it up left side. Mueller, 1 down.
Nice job for Gottschall to bounce back immediately after giving up that base hit to Borzilleri. Gets the out of Riley Smith. Easy fly ball over to her shortstop and Mueller.
Here's Aaron Koffel 1 for 2 tonight, flied out in the first, singled in a run in the third, was intentionally walked in the fifth. Career start number 215 for Erin Koffel. She has been incredibly consistent throughout her career.
Really have seen an increase in her plate coverage when you look year to year for Erin Koffel. Pitch in those certain moments, other people might need a few jokes. You never know. Some sarcasm.
Something tells me Peyton's in that latter category.
Yeah, I would say she probably appreciates some sarcasm and some humor when Coach Weekly comes out there to the circle.
3-0 the count to Koffel. There's a strike, 3-1. Three and two.
A couple of curveballs back to back. And she throws to Koffel there to bring it to a full count. The last one she brought a bit further up in the zone, but still with that late movement away from the barrel.
Called strike 3, 2 down.
You can see it on Koffel's face. She knew it straight out of the hand. Gatchel goes with this backdoor curveball. So this is that pitch with that late movement on it. It looks out of the hand like it's going to hit you as a right-handed batter. And by the time you decide not to swing, it breaks right over the plate.
Ball 1 to Vanessa Nesby. Nesby 0 for 2 tonight. One and one. Fouled back, Kentucky down to their final strike. They're on their feet here in Knoxville.
Nugent communicating with her dugout, looked like she was about ready to celebrate and throw that ball around the horn, thinking they had strike 3 on that curveball outside.
Count goes full to Vanessa Nesby. Peyton Gatchel with 4 strikeouts in relief. Brings the 3-2. Slap foul. Gatchel steps back in, the 3-2. Grounded to second. Rodriguez with the flip, and that will do it. Tennessee picks up the victory, win number 19 on the season.